Thank you for joining us. And you are a former Vice President of Pfizer. That's good. Could you just tell us very briefly about your position there?
So I was, until 2011, for many years, I was responsible for worldwide research and early developments in their field of respiratory and allergy new medicines. That was it. 200 people indirectly across a couple of sites.
So that gave you a real insight into what was happening in early 2020.
There's not very many corners of this industry I've not had some knowledge of. And when I started noticing former colleagues of mine, including Sir Patrick Vallance, saying things on the television I knew weren't true and that I knew he knew weren't true, that's when the penny dropped for me, probably February 2020. I remember saying to my wife, this is not what they're saying it is, something's going on. And then when I saw not only my country locking down, but dozens of countries locking down at the same time, I would say to your listeners, that was proof, and it's still proof, of a supranational operation. There's no way it could have happened at the local level, at the country level. Therefore, it must have occurred at the level above, whether it was the WHO or the World Economic Forum or other, I don't know. But I'm convinced that action alone absolutely proves unequivocally that we didn't just get some virus drifting in and then, oh, we all panicked. They all did the same stupid, ineffective, known not to work things at the same time, none of which were in their country's pandemic preparedness plans, because I've read them all, right? So when I accuse these people of lying, I do it confident they're not going to sue me, because I would say, come on, sue me. I'd love to have discovery in court. You will lose big time. And so they won't sue me. What they do is smear me and censor me, and I don't care anymore, because we're facing something much worse than an alleged virus. At the very least, the things people have been injected with, the injuries to people from these so-called vaccines, I'm afraid, I wish I could tell you that it was accidental, but it wasn't accidental. I've spent 32 years in rational drug design. I know, and I knew, and wrote it before any of them had emergency use authorization, that they were dangerous. And I'm afraid I'm convinced and would say, with my hand on the Bible in front of a court, a judge, that these injections have been made to injure people, to maim and kill deliberately.
I make these videos because COVID vaccinations are the greatest crime against humanity in the history of medicine, committed with the deliberate intent to maim and kill people. Anyone who has accepted and supported COVID vaccines is participating in the greatest medical crime in the history of the world, and especially those who have known what a COVID vaccine is, that it is not even a vaccine, but a gene and cell therapy. If you have advocated COVID vaccines, you are guilty of the greatest crime in the history of medicine. A sincere and ignorant advocate of the COVID vaccine, who has no knowledge of the real danger of the COVID vaccine, is less responsible than someone who has knowledge of the danger